Do you think you're ready for showing your DMing skills on camera?
I mean, fuck, man, I hope so. I ask myself that every single day.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Geek Peek. My name is Oren and today I'm interviewing Chris Skovira. Chris is a creator who is also a cast member of Fables D20. If you know David Carmichael, he is the game master of that show and was a guest on this podcast in season 2. Chris is a cast member on various stories and shows on that channel, but Chris is also a creator on his own and has his own projects going on, which is what we mostly talked about in this episode. We also talked about how Chris creates his characters and also how he builds worlds. This was a very insightful conversation. I loved this interview. Chris is such a fun person to talk to and I hope you will enjoy too. So without further ado, enjoy the interview. Chris Skovira, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
It's so fun to have you because I've seen you as a player in multiple streams and I really enjoy your vibe. And I also heard a little bird told me that you are working on a little something of your own. And
Yeah.
I want to dive into that a little bit later. But before we kind of like learn about all of this, I do want to ask you, who was Chris before D&D? Tell us a little bit about that person.
Oh my gosh. Well, I grew up in a very small town in upstate New York. I graduated high school. I was the captain of the football team. My senior year, I quit wrestling and did a musical and became, Zac Efron in High School Musical. I just became the person who I never let myself kind of like be, which was just experimenting. I went to college for originally computer science, and then I switched to more of an IT role. I did a bunch of performances. I still did theater. I did improv, stand up, you name it. And then, literally, in 2015, because I had a very long commute, I had to drive an hour both ways. My best friend Ben, shout out to Ben, introduced me to a show called Critical Role, and I started from episode 1 and I listened to the podcast and I cranked it out in like a little over a year, and I was traveling across the country. My then fiance at the time was in the military and we were shifting across the United States, and I was coming down a mountain in Idaho bawling my eyes out to the end of campaign 1 Critical Role, where I was just like, the snowdrops. I was just like crying as I was going into town. I had to like pull over my U-Haul and just like deal with myself in the moment. And then I eventually came down to Los Angeles. That relationship didn't end up working out. I walked into a game shop, was like, hey, do you guys have any D&D games coming up? And so I signed up for Adventures League, and the rest is history.
Okay, so there is a lot of things that we can dive into.
Sure.
But before we actually do that, I want to ask you an honest question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Go for it.
So, Critical Role.
Yeah.
Did you watch all of it?
I've seen everything.
You're the first person on this podcast that actually watched all of Critical Role.
Oh yeah, like Song of the Lorelei, like all the one shots, like even like I've seen the Wendy's one, which they don't want us to view, but I've seen it. It's very good. Everything that they've produced, I've seen.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah. How much time of your life do you think you spent doing that?
A lot. I've alluded to this in DMs to you in the past, but like if there is something good in the D&D space, I will watch it. I literally just have Shriek Week just to finish watching on D20. I'm starting NADPOD. I'm very late to NADPOD. But like
same.
I haven't watched much of the McElroys because they're not really my speed. But like Tales from the Stinky Dragon, Tabletop Notch, like all of the like people who are in like the shorts but haven't really made it in like the numbers game of like actual plays. I've seen a lot of those. I I I got a degree. I have a master's degree in television, and so my thing is research of like looking at what patterns work and like what is the thing that actually like propels the thing to the next level. And it's pretty standard actually, which is cool.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I tried watching Critical Role,
Yeah.
and I just like kind of had this sinking feeling that I'm never gonna catch up to them,
Right.
because it felt like, I don't know, even if you watch it at like 2 times the speed,
Yeah.
you're not really making a lot of progress because there's so many episodes. But yeah, I guess if you're consistent enough
Hmm.
and you watch it for enough time during the week, you will eventually catch up to them. Um, yeah. Okay, so you also mentioned wrestling.
Yeah.
How does that work? Like, when did that happen?
I've always been a very physical person. I've always been. I mean, I played football all throughout high school. I technically was going to go to school for a baseball scholarship, and then I dropped out. And then my senior year in college, I played rugby. And I've always just have like, you got to have both ends. You got to have the like, I'm going to do silly voices and like play pretend, and then you got to just hit something. I think that makes you a full human being. um, I'm glad that there are people in the space like Johnny Stanton and like, you know, Travis Willingham who are like, yes, I can be both a jock and a nerd at the same time, because at the end of the day, we're all just people who love things in an inordinate amount. And sometimes
Yeah.
that can be weightlifting, sometimes that can be, you know, collecting comics or insert whatever your desire is.
Yeah, Johnny Stanton has been on this podcast
Oh,
before,
hell yeah.
and yeah, and it's been, I didn't interview him. It was Cody, my co-host,
Hmm.
and it was such an amazing conversation, very inspirational. Shout out to Johnny Stanton.
Hell yeah.
Johnny Stanton the fourth, actually.
Oh, shit. I mean, I'm a junior. I just don't say that because it's not as cool as the fourth.
Also, I do want to ask you. I am a computer science engineer,
Mhm.
software engineer, and you mentioning that you went into computer science and then went into IT. That's very close to my heart. So, how do you think being in that world is kind of like enriched your experiences with D&D, or uh, being a player, or being even a world builder, which we'll talk about later?
Right. I think it's especially with IT, especially with my specific brand. I'm an audiovisual engineer, is my technical title, and it just basically means that you have to know a lot or just enough about a lot of different things, and that's kind of how I view my DMing style and my character creation. Is like I can just kind of talk, or you know, for those who actually know me, bullshit my way into situations and kind of bullshit my way out of. um Talking with confidence, like I'm just listening back to a thing I recorded recently, and I was like, oh, I was wrong, but I said it with enough confidence, and then someone called me out, and I was like, yeah, actually you're right. But like never admitting that you were wrong in a way that it's like gaslighty or like bad, but just like having the confidence to be like, hey, this is a situation, we're going to deal with it this way. If it doesn't work, we'll try again.
Okay, so we kind of like covered your background, as it
Mhm.
were. Um, Now I want you to kind of like share with us, what's that pivotal moment after you kind of like go and find games
Mhm.
into D&D. What is what happens that makes you decide that you want to stream it, that you want to join streams?
So the game store that I came and played at when I was at Burbank, so Burbank, California, it's about 20 minutes that way. Uh, I would go and I would play in this one game store, Emerald Knights Comics and Games, and they had kind of a very close connection with a lot of the streaming community already. They would host like book signings and like meet and greets and everything. And my first GM when I was there, shout out to Jed Reynolds. I don't know if he'll see this, but I'm going to mention it if he does. He stopped DMing at this one game store to start streaming. And he was so transformative in like what I wanted to do and how I wanted to play this game that I was like, well, if Jed's doing it, like all I got to do is be better than Jed. So it took me like 3 years of DMing to be like, cool, I might be as good as Jed to like do this. And to hear Jed say it, he's like, yeah, you were ready from day one, probably. But I don't know. I have this kind of like weight on my shoulders. Like I have to make him proud and I have to do as good as he did for me. So,
Okay, so you decided that you want to stream. You
mhm.
had this person as an inspiration. What happens next?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to have been in the right place at a lot of the right times. During the pandemic, I joined Clubhouse, which was this kind of like audio only live experience, and I joined this D&D group that, we would stream games either through Twitch or just on Clubhouse of just like being on stage, and it reminded me a lot of my theater background. And it's actually where I met a lot of the people that I collaborate with today. A lot of the Venture Forth crew, Shane, Rebecca, Russ, Seth actually was on there. The people who I play with on Fables, Carmichael and Allie, my friend Taco, who's also in Fables. Like, I met a crap load of people that I'm still in touch with today, and like a lot of the like post COVID stuff where we all get like vaccines, we were able to go outside. We just met up, and like those people are my friends now. So like I was very lucky to just be in the right place at the right time with the right people.
That's amazing. Like, it's so funny to think that an app like Clubhouse,
Yeah.
which was so like it just came and left our lives in the matter of months,
Yeah.
and yeah, it made so many connections, so
Oh yeah.
many opportunities. That's really amazing. Um, Before we kind of like dive into the characters that you made,
Sure.
like talking about them from an overall like way of thinking about character
Hmm.
creation, you mentioned DMing,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure. I don't think I've seen you DM on stream. Uh,
No.
yeah. So tell me a little bit about your experiences as a DM before we continue.
So a lot of my games have not been streamed, and that is on purpose because I've been learning.
Okay.
And I have made fun of David Carmichael from Fables D20. I was like, all of your mistakes are on camera, and like you get to edit them out, but like mine never happened. I've always been this good. Uh, so I started playing Adventures League, and the Adventures League game that I was in was very fortunate because we would pay like, God, it must have been like $30, and you'd have 8 weeks of a module. So the module that I joined on was Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and it was utterly fantastic. Shout out to Jed Reynolds again. He made this very cinematic game that I was like, cool, I'm stealing everything from that. And then the next season, you either had to take the next week 8 weeks off, or you could be like, I could be a DM. And I was like, cool, I want to keep playing. So I became a DM, and they handed me the book because that was like part of the thing of like, if you volunteer to DM, we'll give you the new book that comes out. And the new book that came out was Ghost of Saltmarsh. So I had a time with that book because that book is not made to be one cohesive story. And I had to like put a lot of things together, and they ended up pairing me with a guy who'd been playing D&D for 30 years. And this
Oh
is my
wow.
first time DMing. And he goes, cool, I won't say anything, but like, if you want me to give you notes, I'm like, cool, yes, please, please, please. And he rocked me every session. He was like, you did this wrong. You did this wrong. I don't want to say this again, but like you did this again. And I was like, cool. Thank you. So it was like boot camp for DMing because I had this person who was like very into the hobby, would guide me. And like I had a bunch of these new players that were doing everything, and a book that just wasn't good. So it was just a crash course into like, here's everything that you do wrong, here's everything you do right, and then you make up with the difference in between. And then I DM'd for 4 more seasons after that in various
Wow.
books. Yeah.
Do you think you're ready for showing your DMing skills on camera?
I mean, fuck, man, I hope so. I ask myself that every single day. So we've recorded the session already, and I listened back, and I'm like, oh, I have to delete that. Oh no. But like, I'm gonna let you guys in on a little bit of the backstory that I was never gonna say, but it's fine.
Okay.
My Pro Tools just crashed right as we were beginning filming, and we had to delay 2 hours. And
Oh,
God
wow.
bless my players who were just like hanging out, having a good time. Like, is everything okay? And I'm like freaking out. And they not only were 2 hours late to starting, but we went 3 hours beyond what I told them that we were going to do. And they still had a good time. So, like, at the end of the day, if I suck as a DM, I don't care. They made it happen, and I'm so happy to have recorded it with them.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Just goes to show you that sometimes mistakes are good.
I hope so. I really do.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think I think your entire experience as a whole is going to be very beneficial because you're not just DMing out of thin air. You had your experiences, but you also have inspirations.
Oh yeah.
You said you're gonna watch anything that's good, and you absorb a lot of information either
Yeah.
from Matt Mercer. What are some other inspirations, like shows that you not just liked but also said to yourself, "Oh, I can take this to my own DMing."
Oh man, it's honestly from everything. I don't turn my brain off when I'm like thinking of stuff. Like the entirety of this one shot that I've already filmed, I literally rewrote 4 or 5 different times. And then I went for a walk outside my building and I saw something and I was like, cool. And I ran back inside and then knocked out what is the like baseboard of the episode or however many episodes in an hour. Yeah, I read, I look at art, I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of my like therapy stuff I actually incorporate into the game of like how would a character deal with this kind of stress now that I know what kind of like triggers to like throw without being kind of like mean about it. Like I don't want to trigger people in their bad selves, but like I know if like a character's like I have a problem with substance abuse, I can give them things that might make them break or might make them like, relapse or wherever that is. Giving yourself the opinions of your like things you consume and just kind of throwing any kind of block in your brain out the door, I think is the best way. And then kind of editing where you need to. So it's like it's an improv thing. It's like take the first thing that comes to your mind, get it, and then if that's not good, just immediately throw it away.
You gave me food for thought. That's good.
I
Love
am
that.
the king of tangents. I apologize. I will continue to talk until you cut me off.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about your character creation skills because
Sure.
you had characters in Fables D20, and you probably had also characters that you made that weren't made for online games.
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about how you envision character creation. What is important to you when you create a new character? What are some quote unquote rules
Mhm.
that you go by when you create your characters?
There has to be a reason they're there is the first point I'll say. Like the character can exist within the internal story that they're trying to tell, but why is this character here right now? I think is a more important question. I'll look back to like I'll use The Last of Us as the example. It's a very simple story that I think exemplifies the character creation process, and I think that God, I'm going to get this so wrong. the writer on The Last of Us who also did Chernobyl, whose name is escaping me right now. Anyway, that guy has this great
Gavin will put the name on the screen.
boom right there. Uh, this guy talks about like there is a character who wants something, and then you present the opposite to them and see how they react. So Joel in The Last of Us is, whether he wants to or not, believing in fatherhood and his inability to kind of escape the past of like, I have failed as a father, therefore I can never be a father again. And then he is thrust this small girl who he has to be a father to. So I take those character ideas of like, what can I show in the opposition of it? And I go, cool, what concept do I want to work with? If I want to work with stereotype, and I go, a rogue that has no parents, cool. They're alive, they just don't respect you. How can I gain their respect? It's definitely not going to be through killing, but that's what I want to do. So then I throw to you as a DM being like, hey, this is a question that I want answered. Let's figure it out. And that's kind of how I go with it.
Okay.
I can follow up with an example that's already been on screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Go ahead.
So Hallig from Fables D20 Curse of Amity Island was a person who figuratively and literally wanted to die. He was convinced that the end of his life was near and was trying to just advance it. And that was a thing where he was like very self-sabotaging, was considered the town drunk, wasn't considered useful in any way. And so when he got this final thing of like, you can be useful, it was like, cool. And then he overcompensated, wanted to be too useful, and died. So it's like he got the thing he wanted, but like not the way he wanted it to be. So he has to, spoiler alert, come back from death and figure out what that means of like being alive and being someone to somebody.
Okay. Wow. That's very deep, I gotta say. Like the way you think about it, it's not a surface level character creation, and I really love that. If I were, for example, just to if you were guiding me on creating a character, a new character for a game, and that game would be in a world which is already established, where do you point my eyes to be like, hey, maybe this is a good place to kind of like tie your character into, like maybe a part of the world, or maybe a certain faction or whatever it is, like
Right.
where do you kind of like place your person in the world?
If I am a DM and I am like looking at a player character in one of my games and they're like, hey, I have this idea, I want to be an Echo Knight in Curse of Strahd, for example. I go, cool. Do you come from a world where dunamancy exists? Do you come from a world where this echo is considered a person? Like, do you do that? And so it's kind of like we go into the idea of what your character is, and then, okay, we establish who your character is. What do they want? We establish what they want. And then tying it into the story, I will always look at any sort of character integration I can get as a good thing. So is the minor boss is supporting my BBEG your long lost uncle? Hell yeah, it is. Is is the person that called in the hit your former partner? Cool. Yeah, very easy things that like if you've given me an NPC in your backstory, they are going to show up. That is like free tickets for me to like ruin your life. So
Okay. I'm gonna share with you something.
Go for it.
As of filming this, yesterday we filmed a Dragon Age one shot for the channel.
Hell yes. I'm in. Sell me on it now.
Yeah, so I played as an Orlesian bard.
Oh, okay.
In that game, and I gave my DM 3 NPCs, and I told my DM, like, if any of these NPCs appear, I must kill them. They
Wow.
must die.
You're very
Uh,
Oresian.
yeah, and one of them made an appearance yesterday, but I couldn't kill them because it was either staying in place
Mm-hmm.
and instantly dying because of an explosion, or running away. And he
Mm.
actually made me look at this person that I wanted to kill and not be able to do anything about it. And it killed me.
Oh, but that's just delicious story. Because you know the next time you see that person or another person on your list, they're gone. Like you're not going to hesitate. And then he's going to bait you into something.
Yes, yes, yes.
Man. Is this Dragon Age thing in anticipation for Veilguard?
Yes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We are going to release it, hopefully, before this interview comes out.
Cool. I'm excited.
um, so yeah, I love that the entire character creation idea, and also it works because it
Oh
worked
yeah.
on me yesterday. Um, okay, so now let's talk a little bit about world building.
Sure.
Uh, I know you've been dabbling a little bit in world building yourself, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the project that you're building, and also uh, you can consider that this will take some time to release. So I'm
Sure.
not sure how much information you will release publicly until then. So you still have some time.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, so the game that I've been developing is called the Shadowgate Bureau. It is a modern AU of D&D 5th edition in which essentially there is a government organization, not unlike Fringe, the X-Files, the BPRD, and Hellboy. Insert your kind of favorite, like Monster of the Week, Buffy, Supernatural, any of those. There is a government organization that has existed since 1920s, and I take historical happenings and I see, okay, there is an incursion from a D&D world that is happening. So all of our cryptids, all of our myths are all just D&D monsters. The Bigfoot, he's just a Goliath. The Chupacabra, probably just some low-level vampire. Like there are things in this world that exist and are true. My first thing that I have recorded is called Freedom's Last Stand, which is the name of the one shot that I'm going with. It can be something else when it comes out, but that's what I'm saying it is right now. Basically, there is a call that goes out in the spring of 1957 to the small town of Freedom, Wisconsin. And the field agents that are there break free of something. They make a phone call. It is very short. They said that they ate Martha. And then the newest group of the Shadowgate Bureau is dispatched to Freedom, Wisconsin to deal with an unknown incursion. And that's our first adventure. And then we have many more coming up. So it's going to be basically like small little anthology stories of little moments in history where the Bureau is engaged with finding what happened in a small town, a bygone area of the country, a city. The world is endless.
Okay, so this one shot that you mentioned,
Yep.
so you recorded it, but it's not still available online as of
So
recording this
we have recorded
conversation.
it.
Okay.
My good friend Shayna Laughlin from Venture Forth is scoring music for me, and then we are doing a. I don't want to say this lightly, but I'm saying it because that is the thing that I'm trying to go for. We are going for a Worlds Beyond Number level of production for Foley,
Wow.
for music, for cues. Like Shane, I am banking that he is the musical genius that he is, and I am paying him appropriately to provide that.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's the moonshot of this thing, is just to make it as good as possibly. And then I can say this now because it's happening in about a month from now. Myself and the DM of Venture Forth, Seth Dan Fowler, and I are doing a one-on-one where I am leading him through a future adventure of the Shadowgate Bureau, and we are filming that one because Seth is very gracious and owns his own production company, is providing the cameras.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, so you mentioned Worlds Beyond Number, which
Yes.
I love. Uh,
Love that.
one thing about World Beyond Number, which is very distinct, is that it's audio only.
Hmm.
Is that what your show is going to be too?
I'm leaning on it for the first one, just because it is easier for me to cut around something, especially when I'm so new. Excuse me. Uh, Making mistakes, having little flub ups, having things that like people aren't comfortable with, more easy to edit around, and it's cheaper. I am very fortunate to have gotten a very good XLR rig and a bunch of really good microphones. So I'm focusing on the audio first and then getting that level of quality that I can through the edit and through Shane's music. That is what my baseline is going to be, and then we're going to go up from there. So if it stays audio only, it will be the best audio only thing that I can do. If it goes to video, it will be the best video I can do.
I love the approach.
Yeah,
Okay, that's a very good way to think about it. Okay, so let's talk world building.
sure.
Uh, how did it kind of like start for you, like creating your world?
Right.
Uh, this is of course inspired by real life events,
Hmm.
but you probably needed to start somewhere. So what was that experience like building this from scratch?
So it was one of those things where in another D&D game that I was running Waterdeep Dragon Heist for a group of friends for about a year, and then a couple people couldn't make it, but we still wanted to play. So I was like, "Hey, I'll build something that's like a little different." And I started looking at unsolved murders in the United States, and I was like, "Cool, this is a wealth of information that I don't have to look up. I can just use Google Maps for the maps, and I can go, cool, this wasn't a murder, this was a D&D monster." And so I ran a bunch of these games that were the like proto genesis of the Shadowgate Bureau, where I would just take like, the Zodiac Killer or uh, a murder in the 1980s in Miami, Florida, and like just kind of like insert the true facts. I'd have NPCs that were already engaged and they were going to town to figure it out. And my players really liked that, and they're like, we need to play more games like this. And so it kind of detracted from our main game for a little bit, and I was like, all right, let's finish this game. And then once we wrapped, they're like, when are you going to do another one of those? And I was like, well, and then I turned it into this.
So okay, so thinking about, first of all, amazing idea, it's fantastic, I love it. uh, so when you kind of like dive into details of unsolved murders, for
Yeah.
example, uh, there is an element that your game would probably no longer be PG-13, for
Oh,
example.
absolutely not.
Yeah. So where do you draw the line in terms of like uh, what kind of information to include? Or is that like something that you don't really care because you know that all of your players are going to be consenting adults?
A little column A and a little column B. I do extensive lines and veils with my players. If we have anything that we don't want to touch, we won't touch it. I didn't know this was going to be a thing, but I didn't realize that like guns were going to be a no go zone. And then
Oh,
it was one
okay.
of those things that was like in the game already. I had made it, and I offered to it, and they're like, "Well, we don't want to use guns." And I kind of like, "Okay, cool, we're not doing that." Um, it starts at PG-13 just because of the general nature of everything, but like I am happy to accommodate for any player that sits at the table and just wants to play, because I can always cut to black. I can always like pull it back and make it less gory. Like it doesn't have to include those things to make it a good thing.
Okay. So in terms of like how to disseminate information
Right.
within your players, is that like a kind of like police investigation, or is that just a bunch of people coming and excuse me,
Hmm.
and kind of like talking to people in the area of the murder or something like that, like
Hmm.
this Shadowgate Bureau, how is it, like how is it structured, I guess, is my question.
My biggest kind of like one to one that I can link it to is Men in Black. where
Oh, okay.
you'll have
Cool.
a group of people who go out to an investigation, and one of the principal things that we have in this world is the ability to see if you're part of the other world, which is the place that is all the traditional D&D monsters are from. As a bonus action, functionally, you can turn on your eyes and you can see what's in front of you. And I kind of listed it as like unsleeping city rules of like, there might be people who don't realize they're a part of it, but they are still behind the veil, so they can't see. Once you expose those people to the like other side, they're like, ugh, well, you can come work for the bureau if you want, or you can just continue to live your life. Like, go for it. Um, yeah, I don't think that answers your question.
No, it's it does exactly answer my question,
Okay.
because the question was prompted because when you mentioned like it is a barrier. Oh, excuse me, I
You're okay.
touched the mic. I'm sorry if that was hurtful to your ears. So uh, the question was prompted because of the unsleeping city. Because once
Mm.
you started talking about it, I was like, wait, that sounds familiar.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I love that because the Unsleeping Sea is one of my favorite seasons of D20. Um, and yeah, the kind of like the actual adventure of finding the unknown, the
Mm-hmm.
mysterious, the I don't know, like true crime stuff. And it's not what you're doing is not exactly true crime,
Right.
but it is inspired, and I love that. Um, okay, so now I do kind of want to ask you
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of logistics,
Sure.
because this is a lot of information to process for you as a DM. Every adventure is a project. How do you kind of like, first of all, process the information for every adventure that you create for this, and also how do you organize your world building notes?
Great question. The simple answer is I try real hard. The, I build each world building document as two things, as my DM prep document, which basically carries like all of my ideas, like they're written in like scrap paper basically, and then transferred over to like a Google Doc where it's like just all of the word vomit that I have of like things that I want to do, whether that's like villain quotes or like for the last things quotes from Macbeth, which
Oh
made their
wow,
way
okay.
into into the one shot. Um, and it's just everything that like I have spewed, and then there's a thing I give my players, and it's like cool, everything that I've just talked about. What are the nuggets of information I can give the players to have make them have a better time? And then because it's an anthology series, I don't have to remember things that I just make up. And if I do, because it's recorded, I can go back and just like throw it into a file, get a transcript, and use Command F of just like
Okay.
looking through things that I've already said. Previously, in other campaigns that I have had players who make like recaps. Like I will share with you after this, but there is a 27-page document on
Oh
Google Docs,
wow.
single spaced, of a D&D campaign that I ran with like actual like you can search for things, you can be like, okay, at the end of every session here's our inventory. And I was like, cool, I don't have to remember shit. I have been spoiled super hard. So that's why a lot of these are going to be anthologies, because I can't remember anything. And in terms of world building, it's all in a Google Doc like file of like, here's all the ideas I have, I merged them, and then I use a little bit of Google Gemini to kind of like make little tweaks here and there.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Also, using Google Gemini is like to organize that information. That's really really cool. I love that.
Yeah,
Um, okay. So, in terms of like preparing and writing and all of that, um, we kind of like covered all of this.
sure.
Uh, Also, now that you kind of like had this first session with the players, and this is your world.
Hmm.
What have you kind of like already learned about the relationship between what you're creating and the players that play in it?
Don't joke with people who are better players than you. They will screw you. Mayana Baron took a throwaway joke that I had literally within recording hours, probably 6 hours of like, ha ha ha, that's a joke. We'll throw that away. And she brought it back as the button of the episode. And I was like, well, that's canon now, and I can't run from this. So it's like that thing of like, don't play songs that you know the audience are going to like really react to if you mean them as a joke, because they'll feel betrayed. And I was like, cool, I can never give a magic item as a joke ever again. Yeah.
I can also tell you, if you're running one shots, don't end them on a cliffhanger,
Yes.
because that means they're no longer one shots.
Yes.
That's what happened to me yesterday.
Oh, did the one shot for that? Did you what? I need to know now.
Yeah,
Please tell me.
yeah, yeah. So I won't tell you details, but
Okay.
but the Dragon Age one shot did end on a cliffhanger.
Wow. Wow. Are you a big Dragon Age guy?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I played all the games. I think I have combined hour time in all of the games about 1,000 hours.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to come
Yeah,
out here with my Morrigan spit, but I was like, nah, I'm good. 1,000 hours is much more than me.
I started playing Dragon Age
Yeah.
when the first game came out
Yeah.
in 2009, and I started playing the games in 2010.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Ever since then, every game that got out, I played it, and I played it for a long time.
Even the
I think
second
only
one.
in Inquisition, Inquisition alone, I think I have about 300 hours.
Damn. For that's, I mean, that for me is Baldur's Gate 3 right now. That's just like, it's an endless time sink that I can't get out of.
Oh, Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, yeah. I want to dive into it.
Sure.
I still didn't. I have
Oh,
it
you're gonna
on
get lost.
Steam. Yeah, I have it on Steam, but I knew, I saw the reaction to it online, and I was like, I can't deal with this right now. I need some I need to try it on some vacation time, not now.
Honestly, yeah. Oh.
Okay, so anything else learned from the relationship between you and your players on and how does that inform your world building going forward?
I had a lot of like things that I was going to throw at them, and then I didn't expect the out of the box thinking that was going to completely throw the tone that I was going for off, but then leaning in with them and kind of saying yes and to what they were saying, giving them kind of prompts, having them lean with it. But like I prepped for about a 5-hour session, and it was like an 8-hour session, and nothing that I planned worked or like happened. I was able to weave in the ideas of what I wanted to do. So I guess spend a lot less time prepping and then just trust yourself in the moment.
I can also share another one. You know Jay Foster?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he mentioned online that uh, in one of those conferences, he met Brennan Lee Mulligan, and Brennan told him, "You have 3 hours, but prepare for 1.5 hours." Because you also need to take account of all of the applause that will stop you every 5 minutes.
I mean, yeah, honestly, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really smart. Like, yeah, like you have an
Wow.
audience, you need to take account of the audience too.
Because they're not applauding just for you. Most of the time, they're applauding for themselves. Let's be honest.
Yes.
If they're playing a
Yes.
D&D game, there's a lot of self-applause.
Yes. But yeah, those are like small things. I didn't even think about it. Like
Yeah.
when you would do like a public thing, when there are people watching, they will stop you like by clapping and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay. So I think we kind of like covered both the world building, both your experiences as a player. Uh, I do want to kind of like, I do have one final question for you.
Sure.
And before I ask you this question, uh, please share with everyone watching or listening to this
Mm-hmm.
where they can find you. What do you want to lead them after experiencing this conversation?
Well, my name is Chris Skovira. You can find me for D&D stuff at youtube.com/fablesd20, or for the talkback sessions at youtube.com/venture4thdnd, where I am the talkback host over there. And then on Instagram, you can follow me at Chris_Skovira. Last name is spelled Skovira. And what was the final question? What was the next part of that?
Okay, no. So I did want. I didn't ask you the question yet. I just
Okay.
wanted you to. I just wanted you to plug your things. Okay, amazing. So, final question.
Yes.
We talked about the past. We talked about the present.
Yes.
Now it's time to talk about the future. So, when looking towards the future, where do you see Chris Skovira, and what are they doing next?
My initial gut is to tell me that like I would love to be a part of a very successful D&D show, whether that's behind the scenes or in front of the camera. But honestly, I think right now it is just being friends with people who deserve it, spending time with those who mean it, and those who really just make your life richer. And so for the future, I just hope to keep doing what I'm doing right now, which is playing games with my friends and telling stories that I want to hear.